there was something that I always really wanted. It was like a couch in my room.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the time that I'm gonna have like a couch in my room. Like, that's the time.
Yeah.
And then I found this really nice couch, like it was fitting perfectly in the room. The only problem is that there was no space anymore for desk. And then I needed to choose, like desk or couch. I really like to not study at home. I always go to the library. So I said, okay, there's not a big problem. Couch. And then the pandemic came out, and like all the library were closed, and then I was forced to work on like my flat iron table, sitting on my beloved couch, and try to find like a decent position to work.
That's funny. Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a bummer.
My name is Parth, and this is Dhvani. Hello, you lovely people. Welcome back to the second part of the episode 10, where I'm talking to my very, very good friend Michele. He's from Italy. We met through couchsurfing in Maastricht. And there are many stories that Michele wanted to share with the world. And so we did that. We talked about so many little things, big things, profound things on this episode that you would definitely relate to, because this is something that we all go through in some or the other way at some point in time. In the first episode, we discussed about what is the meaning of home for us, how moving from one place to another has changed our mindset, how our parents think, and how it affects us. In this part, we go a little deeper into how these meanings have come into the picture today. We further explore the meaning of home in relation to Maastricht, because while I have moved away from there, Michele is still in Maastricht, and I'm very sure that you're going to like what he tells us, and also you're going to like him because he's like a very nice guy. And if you haven't listened to the first part of this episode, I will request you to go back and listen to the part 1 and then come back and listen to this part. It would be much more interesting that way. And if you think that your story and your observations and your experiences are something that the world can benefit from, or maybe it is something entertaining for the world, we should definitely talk on this show, and it would be amazing. So without any further ado, let's begin with the part 2 of the discussion about home with Michele.
Surprising there is how many events that can go like from like an art exhibition to a photo exhibition to like available in such a large availability, and also like so cheap, like a lot of the time are like really cheap or either free. So like, and like I was surprised that other than the housing, which is getting more and more expensive, the city still like is rather cheap compared to like most of other, and like this is not only like I found like really interesting and nice the large availability that you have for like cultural events of like whatever kind, like from
whatever you're interested
dancing,
in,
music, art exhibition, photo exhibition, and there are a lot of them. Since a lot of people moved there, and like a lot of people moved there not because they're like super famous, but because they are attracted to like this environment. You can also see like a lot of like strange things. So like I don't know, for example, there was like this cinema that I went a couple of times, and like every Wednesday there was like the night when like random people can present their corto, like these 5 minutes, and like some of them are like nice, some of them were like just like
so abstract that you won't understand.
But even like just weird. Like there was one with like some paper cucumber talking and doing. But it was just like really fun, it just stimulated, because
but you can do that. You can do that
for
kind
free.
of.
You can just go there and bring your thing, like and then like people talk a little bit about it. Someone laughs, someone if want to make some question. So that was really good. And then the thing that like you have so many for every taste for me was like really interesting. Like you can really delve and like, because sometimes you don't really know like what you like, you know.
You have to explore and
even
find
like
it out.
Even like for your dreams or whatever. Like sometimes you just not even know like what are your dreams.
True,
like you have some
that's true.
And this like give you the chance to try a little bit. On the other end, like I mean, it's a little bit hyped, like the city and everything, so it can also be like stressful.
You have too much pressure to party and these things.
I mean a little bit, like and everybody when you're in Berlin, crazy, you've been there, you've been there, and like
have you done that? The checklist is there.
Exactly. Like that feels a little bit more like people on holiday would do. Like I have 5 days and I want to do that. Like for me, we're just like living there, and just it's a different thing. It's not like traveling there and try to discover everything. I was living there, and like there was a lot of days normal. I go to work, I go home, I'm tired, I drink a tea and whatever. Day's over. But for sure, like the fact that it's so international, kind of like it makes probably a little bit easier for you to integrate, because it's easier for you to match with someone like you're gonna find probably probably someone that like speak your language, even if you don't speak German or you don't have like a great English. Like that is also a thing.
So very international in
indeed, and kind of cheap, as I was telling you. Like other than the room prices are getting higher. But other than that, I was surprised because a lot of things, like for example, food, I mean, of course, you need to do it a little bit smart, you know, like
you have to be.
You have to find your own way, as every place,
like every metropolitan city in the world.
Exactly.
So
but I was surprised because many things were like cheaper than they had them at home.
Yeah, I wanted to know about this thing from you because now you're in a city which is much more smaller. Compared to Berlin. Like if Berlin is a city, this is a town.
Definitely.
So that's where I wanted to get you on to. Like, is there now the change of this place? Of course, you're doing different things here. You are studying here so that you have different agendas. You have different goals towards things. But I don't know if you can call it better or worse. But maybe you can talk about some differences that you like and you dislike.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's like no like a general better or worse. So like, for example, a big plus I think is that I'm enjoying studying in a city of this size. And a lot of people told me that like, studying in Berlin can be like a little bit overwhelming again because like you're in this university course and you have like 500 peers, and then like it's much harder, you know, to like
and so many distractions maybe.
Also distraction and like also like building, you know, like you have the chance to meet a lot of people, but actually like building relationship or like a lasting bond, it's I think a little bit harder.
That's true actually. That's very,
because everybody's just kind of living like
everybody's running around
and like you have your stimulation all the time.
Right.
But here, like the size of the town to study, I found it quite enjoyable because then like you have this kind of like feeling of like a community, and like you have always like a friend and know someone else, and you can know like it's for that is quite nice. For sure, I don't see myself like living in Maastricht on a long term. So like what I really like this big city vibe or like environment, because like as I told you, like you offer so much in terms of like everything, you know, like culture, whatever, like there's a lot, and there's not as much here, even though like thanks to like all the students, the place I found like quite nice. To just live, like it's a little bit more it's also like a lot green, calmer for studying. It's
quieter, you have peace
exactly. And then like you like you learn like your neighborhood, and like you can go around and then like everything with the bike, you know, everything kind of like not too far. That was really nice. Here in Maastricht, the international community doesn't mix that much to the Dutch living here, I found. For example, from when I'm here, which is like 1 year now, I spoke with maybe 10 Dutch person for more than 5-10 minutes, which I found like really strange.
That's true actually.
And there are kind of like these two parallel bubbles living it, and I think it would be like kind of interesting also to mix a little bit to know the people living here, what they feel, what they think.
I think that's one part of the reason is that though it's a uni town, it's a student town, at the same time it's a retirement town. Like a lot of people who have worked and lived their lives in Amsterdam and Hague and Rotterdam, they come back to Maastricht to spend the rest of their lives. So I think that creates a divide somewhere here, and you would see that on the street. Either you'd see a lot of old people or you'd see a lot of young people. Like mid-aged people are not so much in this town. That's what I have observed.
That's true.
So that's where the divide comes in, because when there are all age groups, then that mingling happens a lot. What you're saying is true, that there is a divide of some sorts.
Again, like it's a little bit like biased to like make the comparison, because if you're comparing like a small town to a really big one.
That's true. Yeah, that's also true.
But for example, like I found the people, because like you have so much different, like more welcoming or like more accepting in Berlin compared to here. I don't know, like here, for example, I was, because like in my mind, like in Italy, I had this idea of like the Netherlands, this place where they live like 50 years in the future, you know, compared to us. Everything works, everything is clean, everything is nice. And then you find out that like they pretend to be like super clean, and then they put a lot of plastic like around every fruit and vegetables. And then it's just like really strange. And then I came from a place where like people really like, let's not use bag, I bring like my tissue bag and whatever, and you're like a cucumber in plastic, 4 apples in plastic, and then I found also like strange. I didn't expect it.
There are many reasons behind that. We can have a different discussion altogether why does that happen. But that's true. But it has been 1 year only, no? I'm pretty sure like after 4 years or 3 years, I think you'll start calling this city also your home. That's gonna happen. Like that happens automatically.
What I can tell you, so if you wanna go back a little bit of like what we consider home,
Yeah.
Right now, I think that Berlin is the place where I would like to go back to live. So like in my future, there's like the plan to go there again to live at least a couple of years.
Right.
Because I really like it and I want to experience more.
Right.
But on the other end,
Yeah.
and also like a year now, I didn't go back to like my parents that often because like when I was in Berlin, I still went like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And this year it's been only 2 times actually, and I just came back from the second because of the COVID and everything.
Yeah, that's another situation.
And then like the thing that like I really lived here, like I built like strong relationship with my flatmates and everything.
Yeah.
And then I had also like, you know, as again like talking about people and what makes home.
Yeah.
Then I feel that like in my life now it's here. So like now actually I consider this my place.
Already.
No?
Yeah.
When I went to my parents in summer, for me it was more like an holiday, a visit,
I
you know,
understand.
a familiar visit, a familiar holiday.
That belonging has come here.
But then exactly, I came back home now when I'm here.
Yeah.
And then I have my space, you know, my room. I know
you need all those things.
Exactly. Because for me, like that's for sure like a value. As I said, like independence. Like for me, it's really important.
Right.
Like I have my space, I have my organization, whatever. Like there's no people.
That's when you know yourself. Because I think that the kind of conversations that I had with myself were not happening back at home when I was surrounded with you
need to be challenged to pull out
when you're alone and when you are broken.
Exactly.
Then is when you understand a lot of things about yourself that you never thought earlier. That okay, also this is also me.
Exactly. For example, something how to say like banal or whatever.
Yeah.
That like for example, I found that like my motivation to studying at university comparing like I was in Italy compared to how it is now after for 1 year like I tried to pay my stuff, work and everything. Change completely, you know.
That's right.
Because before, like you just came from like high school and your parents owned, and you just like thrown in university. It feels kind of like I don't know. You live maybe a little bit far away, and it's just like a
but it's
like
not
a
very
game.
different.
But you know, I didn't know what I was doing or whatever.
Right.
And after like you try, but maybe you know like I really want to study and do good because like otherwise I need to do something that maybe it's not as nice. You know, like when you need to count your money.
Right.
When you need to do the live in a small place.
Right.
And then all these things like I think that reveal a lot about yourself.
Exactly. You start managing your time in ways.
And then you realize what is important for me, what I want to spend my time. That's also like something that I'm also really trying to do now. For example, like I realize like I really want to read more or like to reflect more and for me now it's becoming important to take my time to do these things instead of like something else.
Right. That's a very important point that you start challenging yourself. You start knowing about yourself in the ways that you have never known in the past. Okay, let's go towards the end of this discussion. How has the pandemic changed things for you? Because also not to forget that it was especially more challenging for Italy. Yeah. So how has that affected? Okay. If it has.
So I think it's quite interesting because for me the pandemic kind of had the opposite effect that most of the other people. So like
it's the same for me. I'm gonna tell you why.
Because like so first of all I didn't go back to Italy for the pandemic. I stayed here all the time. In Italy the situation was like much more restricted. Like people cannot leave home until like a proper reason, which is only doing groceries like going to the pharmacy. That was it. And while here we enjoyed much more freedom. Like we could go to the park.
You can do anything.
You can even argue that it was a little bit too much freedom. But actually, let's leave it out. Yeah. But for me, while I talked with my parents and they were like really stressed out and like they really felt like that there was like all of a sudden like a distance between you and the people that you have around or like the people that you are close.
Right. And especially for a place that is into so much, mingling up with neighbors and families, and you have to meet once in a while for a coffee.
And it's just like a tuck, like all of a sudden
you cannot do those things.
But for me, it had like also, I mean, here also a little bit effective. So like for sure, like especially the start, people tended to like stay at home more and whatever.
Right.
But then for me it was also kind of a luck because I moved like to a new house on the 1st of February.
Right.
And then like with the quarantine and the pandemic and everything, me and my roommate, we grew much closer because all of a sudden, like usually like everybody has his own life and then slowly you can get to know each other and everything. And then for me, like all of a sudden, okay, we just like spend all our days together all the time. Yeah. And like that was really nice for me. Like, and it's really strange because then like everybody, I know a lot of people that like really suffered this and for me it was actually like getting closer.
So that kind of thing happened with a lot of people that either they actually grew apart in this time because they found out things that they overlooked in the past, or they actually got more closer. For me, it happened that because there was nothing to do, I cannot apply for jobs as I was doing. I was like, what should I do now? And then that was the point where I could do anything that I wanted to at that point. It opened up so many opportunities for me. I started managing my time in the way I wanted to, exercising, eating.
Yeah, I also started because like another thing that was like really big was like all of a sudden you don't have a schedule anymore.
Right.
And then you just left
blank canvas.
And then you just left what I'm doing with my time now. And then the study for me was also because like that's also like kind of a funny thing.
Right.
So where I had where I live now, I had quite like a small room, like 8 square meter and something. And then like I was like buying the furniture and whatever. And then there was something that like from when I was a kid or whatever, because I also had like a small room at home. Yeah. There was something that I always really wanted. It was like a couch in my room. Yeah. I don't know why. Like every day I always really wanted that.
These things. Yeah.
And then it was like the time finally, okay, I have to bring the furniture. This is gonna be the time that you're gonna have like a couch in my room. Like that's the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then like found this really nice couch, like it was fitting perfectly in the room. The only problem is that there was no space anymore for a desk. Right. And then I needed to choose, like desk or couch. And then like I really like to not study at home. I always go to the library. So I said, okay, there's not a big problem. Couch. And then the pandemic came out, and like all the library were closed, and then I was forced to work on like my flat iron table, sitting on my beloved couch, and try to find like a decent position to work.
That's funny. Yeah.
And there was there was a little bit of a bummer of the choice.
Yeah, but this is something that you brought a very important point where, of course, it has been a very challenging time for most of the people in the world, but it has been also a time to reflect upon yourself. You have to fill up your day some way. Why not do it with good things for the first time in life?
Yeah,
because you have no excuse. So that has happened to a lot of people, I guess, and it's a good thing that has come out of this.
I mean, for me, was a little bit also that I had a little bit too much time, because I also went through like not that long before, like I broke up with we broke up with the girl that was living in Berlin. Yeah. And it was really intense, and then like I really wanted to get back to her, but then like we were apart, and because she was not living in my same place, she's living not that far, but in Germany. And then all of a sudden, I can only like send her a letter. And like I met her once, and then the pandemic started, and then like okay, and then it was everything suspended, and it was like with all this time, and then it was also sorry, not to look. And then it was I was faced with like all this time when like okay, now I'm thinking, but like I cannot avoid to think. Because like I was in this situation, it was like kind of suspended, because like we talk a little bit, and like we said let's try to meet again, or like talk about it at least, because it has been a little bit sudden, the thing. And now I was just like, but then I need to wait like 1.5 months at least, and I don't have the chance to like do anything. And then like this was really like all the time thinking about it. That was also quite intense and exhausting for me.
Do you think that things would work out for the good eventually? Of course they would. But all these things take your time by the end of the day. So how do you decide how you were talking about priorities?
Yeah.
Like emotionally, how it has been for you, and
so
how have you coped up with that?
So as I was telling, for me it was quite challenging, because I realized like wanted to go back, but then all of a sudden like I cannot do really a lot for it. Right. So that was like really really hard to face, because sometimes I would just like in my room, and like was like terribly sad.
What to do? Yeah.
And I would just like I don't know, watching an old picture and crying, because like there's no way for me to do anything now. Right. And I confronted with my like an inability to act. Right. And then of course like I mean I said like I grew closer with my roommates, but still like then you kind of feel lonely, and then like with the quarantine, like you feel lonely, and you feel, again like you cannot do a lot about it. You just like have to confront yourself. So on one end, like this helped to like, or like I was forced to metabolize it for the long time. So then I kind of got over it, and then of course like there was again like a lot of things to learn, because like then when you see that, like you see like why this thing, first of all, like I was questioning myself a lot. Why it happened, like why it was not working, because now I'm feeling like so much that I want airbag. And like what did not work, and then like I started like analyzing my behavior, and then I also I also saw that like some of the
maybe
things
this
there
was the problem. Or...
Yeah, or like that, like I was not involved enough for something
Right,
or something else.
Right.
And then on one end, like I also felt like I was better like that. Like if we would have managed to like get back together, would have been like could have been also better than before.
Right.
Because again, once you're inside something and you pulled, you kind of like go a little bit with the flow. Like it's kind of natural. You kind of like pulled a little bit in front. And then when you have or like when you choose whatever to step back or to step aside, and then you can look a little bit. It's hard to analyze why you're living.
That's true. Like you already know. I think you have gone through so many experiences yourself that you know that things eventually, connect. Somehow teach you something. I know this is a very cliched thing. A lot of people say this, that by the end everything is okay. And everything is for the good. Whatever happens for the good, right? But let's finish it off on a note where maybe you want to tell something to the listeners, some recommendations from your own playbook of life that you have lived so far, all the cultural differences you have faced, all the situations that you have faced.
I feel that, like, for example, I would tell to, like, I have a smaller brother, what I told to my smaller brother when I visit my family in the last month was, first of all, to try to be, like, as you said, curious. Because sometimes you don't even know what you want or like what your dreams are.
Exactly.
And to being able to know yourself again, like, you need to be like receptive to what you have around and like being able to like pick up like like you can just try, then maybe it doesn't work.
You have to be a sponge.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. As much as possible. That is fundamental. And then like some experiences are good, some is bad, and like some teach you what you want, some teach you what you don't want, which is equally important. Like because sometimes like you cannot really find out, but you need to throw yourself, I think. And especially now, because you can, or like it's much harder to do it when you're 40, That was also what I was thinking when I was like unhappy in my room studying university in Italy. Yeah, but like I'm studying this, but I don't like it. And then what is it? Where is it leading? Sorry. I don't like where is it leading. It's time to leave, to change. So now it's also important to like decide this is not for me. Change everything.
Right. Sometimes smaller steps should be taken.
Yeah. You just need to start with something, because like, of course, like you don't need to like have the big step, but like start the change. Like think about what you don't like, and then you need to do at some point. It's really simple. You're confronted with your problem and you decide either I can deal with this problem and it's fine, and I'm gonna keep doing with it, or then in the moment then you say this thing is really like I cannot live with it, but then you need to do everything in your possibility to change it. And then can also include like living on. For me, like was living on, and I didn't even realize exactly that like I felt so oppressed where I was until I left.
Exactly.
So again, like try and like be a sponge, like try your experiences, like then in the worst case you can come back, like your family is gonna welcome you back.
Obviously nobody's gonna abandon you, and they're always there for you.
But it's really important. So, or like for the cooking thing, like I tried, I'm still really interested, but maybe it's not the thing that I want the most, but still like
you tried
you need to try,
and within that bigger umbrella of cooking, maybe you now know exactly what you like in that space.
Yeah.
So these things happen a lot when you try.
Then being receptive, and this is really important, and like try. And then now at this age, like when you're 20, 30, it's the time, when you can make a mistake, and then you can reinvent yourself if everything goes wrong.
Absolutely.
But if you want to go somewhere, just try to go there.
Go.
And then
let's do it.
Like you're gonna learn a lot also for yourself. This is not what you want. Actually, I really want to live with my parents at home. Perfectly fine. But if you don't try like the opposite, it's hard
to see that.
So challenge yourself if we wanna.
To know the other side also.
Exactly.
That's so nice. Beautiful, man.
And then use couch surfing maybe, because there was also like
I wanted you to say that.
There was also something that they found, like one of the coolest thing that they found about this thing is that like when I was like talking with this girl that I was with, and like I was so fascinated, like she traveled far away, like in Vietnam and all these places, and I was like so fascinated by the stories. And couch surfing kind of give you the chance, if you cannot travel the world, to let the world travel to you. Then you can meet so many people, like and I met like such crazy like
that's a beautiful point. That's a beautiful point, that you cannot, wherever you cannot go, maybe they can come to you.
Exactly.
And then you bring
and then you bring like their experiences,
exactly.
Like, and then like that helps you to like this place looks so interesting, like how this guy is living. I don't know, like he's having like a hut in the middle of like the mountain and like actually sounds pretty nice.
I should
what
go
he said.
someday.
Maybe I should.
That
maybe I
will
should
motivate
try.
you. Yeah. This connects to the point where we were talking about that ultimately it's people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The place.
It's always people. Like it's either like home. It's even like the ideas like for new things.
Right.
Because again, like you don't know. It's hard to know what you want if you don't know what is around.
Right.
And then these things can help you to get a mix of different experiences.
It was always in front of me, but this thing that you have said that the world can come to you, it's absolutely that. Couchsurfing is that. So nice, man. Awesome. Any other things that you want to say? The batteries are dying everywhere. But any last thoughts or anything that you have, you can say.
If you have the chance to sleep at Parth Place, I would definitely do that. Yeah, for me also like meeting Parth and was like because also like it's not only the world come to you.
Same
and
feeling, man.
It's not only that, but it's also the words come to you and you can become friend.
This is the thing that I never equate a value or the amount of friendship or relationship that I have with the person with the time.
No.
Because see, we never spent like in the last 1 year or 1.5 years since we've met, if you consolidate it, what is the amount of time that we have spent?
Yeah,
nothing, right?
Nothing.
But the kind of feeling that I have for our relationship or for our friendship is so profound that won't happen for maybe a person that I would have been friends for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the beauty of
you know, like we don't message, we don't call, but then at some point we just meet and then like it's
the same thing. We pick up from the place we left, right? So this is so nice that happens. Yeah, this is the beauty of.
Again, like you can have like not only knowing but like actually making like a long time friendship, and then can be like on the other side of the world, and then maybe you can visit them.
Yeah, like,
you know,
tomorrow I go back to India, you have to come to India, you know that I'm there.
Exactly.
And this is like, for me, it's such a big thing, you know, like if I have somebody in that country, in that city where I'm going to, that's a big relief.
Yeah.
So
and also, because it's also like little bit of the beauty of couchsurfing when you're visiting.
Yeah.
So like, for example, I came here because I wanted to like check for like some rooms at the university.
Yeah.
Then I met Parth, and like Parth showed me a little bit like the city around. He showed me like where it's nice, like what I think.
What is bad, what is good, and
and just like
get a shortcut of some sort.
It's really important. Like for sure, it's like my favorite way to like visit a place because compared to like the Depliant that you get to the hotel, this is so much more profound.
Yeah,
like,
it's commercial list that you. It's so nice, like everything connected, like home, couchsurfing, living in somebody's home, leaving your home. All these topics are somehow connected, and we never think about it.
Yeah, because in the end, it's just like you and your life, and then like everything is connected with it.
Man.
Like all the experiences are important, you know.
Exactly. Awesome. Thanks a lot, man. This was
thank you. Like, it was really a pleasure.
This was also the last discussion that I'm having here before I leave this home, this town. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you too. Like, it's always a pleasure.
You enjoyed as well this little discussion that we had.
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay.
And I hope it's something good is gonna come out for your podcast. I'm really honored that like you.
Oh, that's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. Thank you. And this is the end. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was it. I really hope you enjoyed our discussions, our perceptions, our observations, how we look at life. And I also hope that you find it relatable. If you do, please write to me on info@dhvani.co.in. Log on to dhvani.co.in/podcast. You can send me voice notes on Facebook. My Facebook profile is chauhan.parth. Or you can also DM me on Instagram. All these details are there in the show notes, so you can check that out. The show was hosted and produced by me. My name is Parth Chauhan. The theme music has been composed by Cutie Honey Punch, and the branding has been done by Soumya Garg. Your support as a listener is very, very important. So keep on sending me your suggestions, feedback, complaints, or whatever you have to tell me. Please do that. Dhvani Podcast is available on all major platforms like Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, JioSaavn, Amazon Music, and all the other platforms that are meant for podcasts. So please make sure to subscribe. And if you like what you hear, please like it and share it with the world. Maybe they will like it as well, right? Currently, I'm not making any money out of this, but I would really like to sustain myself through this idea. If you think that I can be of any help to you, maybe I can work with you, just go ahead and reach out to me. Also, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link that I've put in the description. If you can support me, this is one way to do it. I would really, really appreciate if you can do that. And that is all. So, till the next time, time. Let's try to be more open, more receptive towards life, towards experiences, towards everything that comes along. And on that note, please take care of yourself in these difficult times. Goodbye, and see you next Wednesday.